I ain't average. I am not average. I'm gonna let you know right now.
Last week we released part 1 of my reaction video about the Pearly episode that was very heated. Let's continue.
That's made towards me being average. I just want to say, it's not about even my degree, you know. It's not about my masters. It's about what I've overcome and achieved in this life that makes me a survivor and above average. I have been homeless on the street, and I'm sitting here today and not representing that. My struggle, my success makes me above average, and nobody can't tell me that I'm not. Because if that's what I need to tell myself to get up in the morning and do my shit, that's what's gonna have to happen.
Delusion is not reality. If you think that you're above average when clearly you're under average, then that's called delusion. A woman that is 39, obese, single mother, thinks that she's above average. She needs a reality check. And this is why we shouldn't, as a society, feed delusion. And this is the issue when you're surrounded with friends that are dishonest. They will not tell you the truth. They will not tell you that you're maybe a 2 or a 3 out of 10. You need to have friends that will tell you the truth, even if it is painful. But this woman is clearly on a different level of delusion. And the issue is that this type of women that are delusional women will think that they can attract high value men. Because maybe 10 years ago or 5 years ago they have slept with one high value man. They think that they can secure a relationship, a marriage from this type of men. And this is why it's so important that the older women highlight to the younger generation, you know what? Men might sleep with you. Even high value men might sleep with you. You might have rappers, rich rappers, or even rich footballers that might sleep with you. But, sorry, average, you're not going to be able to retain this type of men in a relationship. Let's continue.
I'm gonna tell you, the average man versus the average black woman right now, the black woman is earning more.
Is that in the Caribbean, or is that in London, or what?
I'm going to talk about London, Caribbean.
Okay.
I can't talk about America. I can only talk about where we are now.
Sure.
Because what you were saying about at the average,
yeah.
I hardly meet men that earn more than me.
Yeah, actually, I'm
This is normal. Men that earn more than you do not want anything to do with you. That's the reality. High value men do not want to deal with a 30-year-old woman that is obese and single mom. And this is why you don't meet this type of men. Men do not want to be with you. High value men do not want to be with you. If you haven't understood now that this type of men do not want anything to do with you, even a hookup, then at some point you have to realize what type of value you have on the market. What is your sexual market value? And that's the issue with the delusion. It just keeps growing and growing and growing. Yes, you will not meet men that earn more than you because these men do not want to be with you. They don't want anything to do with you. The second point, that's very true that on average, black women, I think even in the US and especially in the UK, earn more than black men on average, especially the younger generation. And this is why now that black women are earning more, yet they do not want to support a black man. They will not settle for a man that earns less money than them. That's what happens most of the cases. And this is why when the roles are reversed, so when the women earn more than the men, it just doesn't work. They do not want to marry this type of men. So keep pushing women to study more and to earn more money is great if they were behaving as men when it comes to spending their money. What happens is that when a high value man meets a woman, she obviously most of the time earns less money than him, and he will gladly spend his money on his family. What tends to happen is that when a woman earns more money than the man, she spends money on herself. She doesn't want to spend money on the family most of the time. There might be some exceptions, but most of the time, that's the case. If you like this content, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Let's continue.
What do you guys think benefited more from the women's sexual liberation movement or the sexual liberation movement?
I would say men.
Men?
And it's annoying because in any scenario, men still always benefit. Even before women got their sexual liberation, men still benefited. Now they've got their sexual liberation, men are still benefiting.
Why do you think so? I mean, why do you think men benefit? I'm just curious.
The reason I think men benefit is because now men don't have to do a lot now to get sex. So literally, go on a dating app, a woman's coming. Even now, women don't even get their Ubers paid anymore. They'll be like, I'll drive to you because I need some D. Now, what it's done now is creating unrealistic expectations for relationships. So now, as a woman, you want a man to wine and dine you and 69 you. But I feel like now it's like men don't need to do that anymore because you can just get sex somewhere else.
Most men struggle to have sex. So she's talking about the men she's dealing with. The top maybe 10% men. The men that earns more money than her. The men that she will be happy for them to take her out. This type of men have loads of choices. That's true. They are the main beneficiary of the sexual revolution. The top 5%, 10% men are benefiting greatly and they do not have any reason to settle because they have unlimited access to unlimited women most of the time. So at the end of the day, it's not necessarily the women that benefited more. Their method strategy is about securing the best possible men they can. The men with the best possible resources. However, the vast majority of men, 90+% of men, have not benefited from it. What used to happen back in the day is that you will have a lot of men, average men or low value men, that will still marry because there will be one woman for them. And they will usually marry more or less at their level. Now, this type of women do not want anything to do with them. And this is why we've seen in this episode a woman that is a 2 or a 3 that think that she can get a 8, 9 or a 10 guy. So obviously the market is much more complicated for average men or low value men. At the end of the day, women will always be the gatekeeper when it comes to sex. On the other side, you have men that are the gatekeeper when it comes to relationship. But when it comes to sex, it's women. To the more they lower the value of sex, the easier they give sex away, the more men are not going to be interested in relationship. Because what tend to happen back in the day is that men had to marry the woman in order to have sex with her. Now they just need to buy a drink or two and they can have sex with them. So who is losing in the exchange? Because most women are interested in relationship. It's been proven again and again. Most women that will have sex with guys will be interested in a relationship with this type of men. But men will gladly have sex with lots of women. They will never ever consider for a relationship or for a marriage. Let's continue.
When actually in reality, women will have sex with any man as long as you fulfill her needs. It doesn't have to be sexual. It could be emotional need. It could
Speak
be
for yourself.
I personally would. I want.
I'm gonna sex with any man.
Personally,
Any man?
okay, any man? Oh, come on. But
This woman is clearly capping. Most men are just invisible to women. Most men will not even have a chance to approach this type of woman. Because most men are working out there in construction, as plumbers, truck drivers. These men don't tend to interact with this type of women. So most men will be invisible to them. So obviously, the men she's interacted with, she might have sex with them, maybe. It is not easy for most men to have sex. And this is why the market is so complicated. A lot of men are now addicted to porn, addicted to seek sexual intercourse with prostitutes because they cannot have a normal relationship with a woman. They can't attract a woman. And I'm very glad that Pearl is keeping it 100% real. Women will not deal with men that are shorter. Most of the time will not deal with men that don't earn as much or that are dumber than they are. Let's continue.
Yeah, like sex is more available now than it was in the past for most people, which is, but there's pros and cons, right? There's going to be more competition for sex. There's going to be more competition for relationships. Back 30, 40, 50 years ago, all a man had to do was work a job, and he was basically like guaranteed a wife because women couldn't work. I think it's important to recognize there are pros and cons to everything.
Back in the day, before the sexual revolution, people had more sex. And even when you look at the details, people had more meaningful and good quality sex as well. When today, a lot of sex is actually not that great. On average, women don't like hookups. So the sex that people are getting today, which is obviously less than before, is also less quality than before. You need to ask yourself, is it better now or was it better before? Let's continue.
No, I'm asking if you think they're equally picky with the women that they want to be in relationships with, as women are to men. So for you, if you were gonna, I mean, you're already married, right? And I'm looking for a husband, and you're looking for a wife who's pickier, typically, by and large. No, not like I'm just using.
I think it's roughly equal.
Really, that's
Yes.
so interesting.
Wow.
It's interesting, but the reason why is because you guys get all your information from dating apps where the numbers are super skewed. But if you go into any school, all the boys are dating all the girls. If you go into any workplace, if you go into any
Destiny, you can't say this type of things. That's not true. Everyone that has been in school knows this is not true. Not all the boys are dating all the girls. That's not true. You have a small minority of men getting most of the attention, and similarly you have some women that are getting a lot of attention. Some women are not getting much attention. But not all women are dating all the men. That's not true. That's a blatant lie. I'm sorry, Destiny, but that's a no. Let's continue.
I'm not saying I accept every single advance. I'm just saying women are very realistic with their options.
I ain't average. I am not average. I'm gonna let you know right now.
Women are realistic with their options. Have we not heard just earlier this woman that is 39, obese, single mom, that said that she's above average, that she doesn't want to be called average, she's a high value woman, and women are realistic? No, most women are not realistic. Some women may be, but most women are not. Juicy, let's continue.
I just wonder what I think you've got a very juvenile standard of beauty, because your beauty.
Of course you're gonna say
No,
that.
and I'm saying that because I can give you. Let's look at celebrities. Nia
Why
Long
are
at
we looking at
20
celebrities?
is just as beautiful as she is at 50.
You're not the market.
What are you talking
What are you
about?
You're not a man.
You're.
Maybe you should ask men, because it's men that's gonna date her, men that's gonna marry her, men that will impregnate her.
Are you
So
telling me
maybe
you're the
you should ask
spokesperson
men-
for all men?
Bro, but
I
I'm
don't
a
think
man,
you are,
you're
babes.
not. I'm in a better position than you.
I'm not sure, you know. But I think this is a very juvenile, unmatured perspective of what
Okay,
beauty
I
is.
just- can I-
Oh my god, that's actually very funny. She believes that she's in a better position to be able to express what men want in women. When she's the one that is delusional, she's actually shaming a man for his standards. What does it mean that his standards of beauty are juvenile? That's ridiculous. He has his standard and they have to be respected. You can disagree with them, sure. But at the same time, they have to be respected. But this woman that she can't even be self-aware of her value is trying to shame another man. That's actually very crazy. Let's continue this interesting episode.
It was actually a video that went viral recently where it was on Kendra G's Instagram live, and it was this woman. She said, I date broke men. I do not care. I love broke men. And she said, all a man needs to have is $2,000 a month. That's all he needs to earn. And in the comments, people were saying, oh, you don't even respect yourself. You should aim higher. Women can't win.
2,000 a month. That's not broke. This is probably the average salary in the US, slightly below. 2K a month, that's not broke. That's average.
I mean, I think it kind of goes back to like women out earning men have a hard time respecting the men they're with.
That's not true.
That's not true.
It is very true. When you're married to a college graduate, you have 90% of chances of her triggering the divorce. That's the reality. Most women do not tolerate a man that earns less money. It is very true that when you earn less money, you're less respected by your wife. That's true. And a woman that has a promotion will increase their chances of divorcing. This is all based on data. So when you don't acknowledge basic data, when you can't even see the reality, women do not like men that earn less money than them. Women want men that are more ambitious than them. If a man earns less money, it's very likely that she will not respect him. In addition, the divorce rate will increase by 50% when a woman earns more than her man. These are statistics that support the fact that women will not tolerate a man that earns less. So you have to take your emotion aside, your feeling aside, and be focused on the data and the reality. And sometimes it can be painful to see it, but that's the reality and you have to acknowledge it. Let's continue.
Esther, my whole argument is that I think divorce is stupid over chores. I think that's stupid.
I feel like you've never lived with someone that.
She hasn't. Like that's the only
Way you don't understand this. You've never lived with somebody that is like, you come home so tired, you know you've cleaned the house, you're ready to just sleep in your bed, and the house is a pigsty.
It's funny.
Was you in a relationship with a bum then? Oh, you've done it. So you sound like you've done it. Have you been in that situation?
I'm not gonna go into that detail.
No, but you're talking about like Pearl hasn't done it. So obviously, if you're talking from that standpoint, it sounds like you have experience. That's all I'm asking. Oh, so you've done it then?
No.
Okay, so you're basically in the same position.
No.
So she's trying to advise Pearl when she has never done it as well. I think she just got destroyed here. Just destroyed by simple logic. Don't take a stance when you don't have the experience. And especially when you're criticizing someone because she doesn't have the experience. Let's continue.
90%.
I never said all though. I just said a lot.
Yeah, but it's also proven that a lot of men are bums.
Is it? Is that
Well,
right?
yeah, because a lot of women are feeling the same way.
Well, because women feel a certain way, that means it makes it a fact.
Well, if they're reporting it, a lot of women are reporting to say
Reporting what? Exactly.
they're reporting that one of the reasons that they've initiated divorce are things like the man's not understanding helping out with other responsibilities.
That's one aspect.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what we're
Do you
discussing.
think the women that just choose men over superficial things, and when it doesn't work out because he's a Chad and Tyrone and he cheats, do you think they add that to the list as well? Did they come out with accountability and say, you know what, I picked horribly. I picked the guy because he was 6'6" and he had a big willy. Do you think they put that down as well?
No, of course they wouldn't.
Of course they exactly.
Of course they wouldn't put that. Most women will not take any accountability for the failed relationship in the past. That's a fact. Most women will be oblivious about what happened in the past. They wouldn't even think that they have a part of responsibility. And it's very true. Feelings are not facts. You can feel a certain way about the way the society is going. However, this is not a fact. So trying to base everything off feeling doesn't always work. And this is why you need to have data, research, studies to support your speech. Always. And a lot of women will also focus on superficial stuff. For example, what he said, 6 foot plus, a big willy. Let's continue.
So another reason that they reported initiating the divorce is because they don't have to tolerate bad behavior. Back in the days,
Bad behavior.
back in the days, women went through a lot of abuse, financial abuse, emotional abuse, because of the fact that they didn't have financial security. They married just to get that financial security. And now they're college, they're going to earn a lot of money when they graduate. So now it's like, I don't need you to really I don't need to rely on you for financial support.
Today, the vast majority of emotional abuse are committed by women. Today, that's a fact. When you look at the data, men are emotionally less abusive towards their partner. And this is why the vast majority of cases is the woman that will be abusing the man. So when you're stating feelings, emotions, opinions as facts, quite often you will get a reality check. And this is exactly what is happening now. Secondly, the women that think they do not need a man, they will just end up single. If you don't need a man, then go on. Your lineage will just stop and will be very happy with that. Because if you don't understand the importance to be able to have a family in order to have kids, then that's great. You're going to be put on the side and the rest of the world is going to continue without your descendants. At the end of the day, if you do not invest and you don't acknowledge the importance of a relationship, you will just end up being single and die alone with cats. And lastly, marriage has not been set up to make people happy. The marriage originally has been set up to raise the best possible kids. That's why the marriage was set up. Initially, the marriage was an agreement in order to create the best possible family by raising the healthiest possible kids. And this is why the marriage is actually a compromise in terms of the mating strategy of the men and the mating strategy of the women. The mating strategy of the men is unlimited access to unlimited women. They have to stop in order to become a husband. Similarly, the mating strategy of a woman is hypergamy. How can I find the best possible man? Constantly hoping to find the best possible man. So when she stops hoping and she decides to marry, that's also a compromise on her side. So marriage is a compromise on both sides. It doesn't address 1% of the requirement of the man's mating strategy, and it doesn't address 1% of the requirement of the woman's mating strategy. But the purpose of the marriage has always been about creating the best possible children. Let's continue.
Society.
I'll ask
Why do you
you,
think
please.
society's
Can I?
not listening to men? The richest, most successful in the world are men. The people that make decisions, the leaders are men.
Why women are always talking about an extreme minority of men. So here we are not even talking about 10%. We are not even talking about 1% or 0.1%. We are talking about 0.00001% of men. The men that are at the very top of the companies, very top of the government. And today, most governments in Western countries, in terms of the parity between the two genders, between men and women, you have usually as many men as women in politics. So the real issue is most of these top CEOs, which is basically 0.00001% of men. These are the ones that women think that they will represent the vast majority of men. It is like saying that a king represents the vast majority of the peasant. It doesn't work. So today, most men are not being heard. That's true. The vast majority of people committing suicide are men, and no one really talks about it. 95% of the workplace deaths are men. Who talks about it? No one. It's not going to be the guy at the top. It's not going to be the government that I will be talking about it, because men have always been disposable. And this is why no one cares about men committing suicide or men dying in their workplace. So no, the top men are not representing the vast majority of men. Let's continue.
Men don't put a lot of effort into looking good. So example, I got roasted for this last time I said it.
Say it, man.
Right, in terms of stats for cosmetic surgery, women 95%. it's not because women want to go under the needle and put their life at risk. It's because they want to desperately look good for the men they want.
That's really ridiculous. What men and women find attractive are different. They usually are almost opposites. Men value youth and beauty, and women will value status and money first. So thinking that men need as many plastic surgeries as women is not understanding the mating strategies of the individuals. It's not understanding what men are looking for, what women are looking for. Women are looking for men that are attractive, but this is not the first criteria, especially when it comes to long-term relationship. So saying that men need plastic surgery as much as women doesn't work. If you want to translate plastic surgery into the men's area, then you have to think about men pretending that they are at the specific status. For example, men that will buy expensive cars or big watches when they do not have the financial support to do it. This is what you need to compare. And in that case, let's compare how many expensive watches men are buying compared to women. Let's watch how many expensive cars men are buying compared to women. It's not symmetrical between men and women because they are different. And when you're different, you'll be attracted to different things. Let's continue.
Now you're happy, innit? So, okay, boom. So what, you've never ever hooked up with a guy just like you found him attractive? You know, I'm just gonna hook up with him. You never done that?
I'm not saying I've never had a one-night stand, but in terms of
There you go.
the men that
And I'm sure most women have had one-night stands based on a guy being a Chad and Tyrone.
Can I
I'm
finish?
sure of that.
But when we're looking on average, the men I've slept with, they're really not my type. I don't actually sleep with my type because a lot of the time they don't have respect for women. And to me, I would rather a guy that is just, it looks okay. I don't need you to be like gym fanatic. I don't need that. I just need a man that's gonna.
And this is why it's so important as a man to differentiate what women say and what they do. I can bet that if you look at her sexual history, these are guys that are physically attractive, especially at this age. Most of the men that she will be looking for are men that are physically attractive or that have a potential to be long-term. So men that have a good financial situation, for example. So the fact that saying that the attraction has no bearing on whether she's attracted to them is ridiculous. Secondly, as a man, stay away from promiscuous women, especially if you want a long-term relationship with them. The probability to divorce is much higher. The probability for them to be unhappy in the long-term relationship is much higher as well. So if you're a man of value, then stay away from promiscuous women. Obviously, average men probably will have to go for promiscuous women, unfortunately. But if you're a man and you have the choice, stay away from them. Let's watch the last extract.
Okay, what
But
about,
why,
let me
but
ask
why,
you
are you, why are you taking your cues from rappers?
Let me ask you then. Let me ask you then.
Yeah, go on.
How many unattractive women, on average, have you slept with?
No, loads, because I've done a lot out there.
So
Like
you
most guys, I'll be real with you. Most guys that have slept with a lot of women, they don't want to talk about. Like, I'm just letting you into a little secret. Even Chadston Tyrones, yes, they've slept with a girl that is probably below their standards, but it's a slow Tuesday. Yes. Like what? What's
That's
the
true. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yes, that's absolutely true. A lot of men sometimes sleep with unattractive women, even the top type of guys. And this is the issue as well, because the women that they have slept with are under the impression that they can sleep and secure this type of men. We are ending up in the situation where these women that are average or even below average are under the impression that they can secure a high value man. So they just get used for sex on a regular basis, but this type of men will not secure them. they will not give them a ring, unfortunately. And they will end up usually at 35, 40, not married and not understanding what happened. But they were average. This is why women should be self-aware. This quality is so important for women. Be self-aware of her value. And on the other side, men, the reality hit them in the face. Even if they are not self-aware, when they are like 20, 25, 30, they can't sleep with women. So obviously the reality will hit them in the face. And what happens is that for a man, they have to build their value. They have to climb the social economic ladder. It takes time, but while they climb the ladder, they will be sleeping with a lot of unattractive women, average women, or even below average women. And that's true. But that's why when they finally reach the top 5%, top 1%, then they have access to a different type of woman. And they're happy with that. If you enjoyed this video, check out the Vice Panel Feminist Reaction. It's amazing as well. If you haven't seen part 1, check it out right now.